It is November 8th, 2025, 12 o'clock noon, back on the Dungeness Spit Trail. It is a beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous, sunny day. Okay, my goal is to make it to the lighthouse, and I'll see you there. Bye. So yes, back on the Dungeness Spit Trail. Should be a round trip 10-mile hike. We were here last winter. I want to say we were here in December, but I'll have to double check. And we couldn't make it to the end. At the end, there's a lighthouse, and we couldn't make it because the parking closed at dusk. And it was, December, so sunset was at 4 p.m. or something crazy. Sunset today will be at 4:47 p.m. And I think it's something around a quarter till 1 right now. So will I make it before sunset? Who knows? But I did see that they updated the hours to the parking, winter hours, sometime in the morning till 9 p.m. So thanks for tuning in. I'm out. Enjoy the scenery. I'm going to pause and take my coat off because it's hot. Three, two, one. This audio recording was made on December 15th, 2025. I wanted to take a moment and talk about what I'm actually hiking on here. This is the Dungeness Spit, one of the longest natural sand spits in the world, built grain by grain over thousands of years as glaciers retreated and coastal currents carried sediment eastward. What looks flat and simple is constantly shifting, shaped by tides, wind, and time. You're essentially walking on a living landform. At the very end of this trail sits the Dungeness Lighthouse, which has guided ships through these waters for more than a century. Papa will dive into the deeper history of the lighthouse later in the video. And if you look straight ahead at that snowy peak, you can see Mount Baker. Mount Baker is an active volcano, and it's one of the snowiest places on Earth. Even from here, miles away, it completely commands the horizon. Along the way, I passed countless seabirds and clusters of washed-up jellyfish, mostly moon jellies. Their life cycle is wild. They start anchored to the seafloor before transforming into these drifting, translucent creatures, eventually returning to shore via the tides. Thank you so much for joining me on this adventure. Michael will be adding a fun historic narrative later on. And we did make a Dungeness Spit Trail video last year, but at that time, we did not make it to the lighthouse. I'll link that video here. Enjoy! Off in the distance, that snowy peak is Mount Baker.
When starting this hike on the Dungeness Spit, or even looking at it on a hiking trail map, it seems like it's just this long line of sand out into the Strait of Juan, and it is, and it's a lot more than that. So there's a lot of history here and a lot of story here. Long before this was a wildlife refuge and a popular hiking spot, this land and water were home to the Sklallam people who have lived in this region for thousands of years and still call it home. Dungeness Bay and the surrounding areas were rich gathering places for things like shellfish and salmon. Birds are really popular here, plants, and other resources. The spit itself is not just a static line of sand in the strait. It's very much alive, and it's built and rebuilt one grain of sand at a time. Um, that slow, constant reshaping is why this place is so important and home to so many birds and other wildlife. It's also why this place can become pretty dangerous at times. So planning a hike here around the weather and the tide patterns is pretty important. A little more about the history. By the 1800s, as colonial shipping increased through the strait, the Dungeness Spit became a serious hazard. So it's this low, sandy area that's hard to see in storms, and it caused shipwrecks that interfered with transporting cargo and cost a lot of people their lives. So the new Dungeness Lighthouse was built in 1857. And because it was built in 1857, it makes it one of the oldest lighthouses in Washington state.
For for all at last return to the sea, the OCEANUS, the ocean river, like the ever-flowing stream of time, the beginning and the end. Rachel Carson.
So, some interesting facts about the lighthouse. In 1927, severe cracks were noticed around the original 91-foot tall brick tower. Engineers were concerned that it might collapse, so the decision was made to lower the tower to its current height of 63 feet. So, for more than a century,
Well, gorgeous.
lighthouse keepers
Time to
lived
go home.
here and worked here in this isolated spot, even through the long winters. And this lighthouse, even after automation became common, this station remained staffed longer than most. And today it's still staffed. It's still actively staffed by volunteers who work this same stretch of sand to keep the light alive. So we'll put the link in the description. You and a group of people can actually sign up to volunteer and run and live in the lighthouse for, I believe it's 1 week at a time. And it's been managed and run by volunteers since 1994, not the Coast Guard anymore. I was a little surprised, and it was cool to see this. The Dungeness National Wildlife Refuge was actually created in 1915, so over 100 years ago, by President Woodrow Wilson, who, with an executive order, declared this a sanctuary for the animals and birds, plants, and other wildlife that are common here. This has always been an important place for the local tribes, including the Scallon families, who, even though they were guaranteed, the indigenous people were guaranteed the right to fish and gather food here in their usual and accustomed places, they were pushed off this land. The presence of the tribe here is pretty strong now, and there is an important shift in recent years. The Jamestown Sklallam tribe now has a leading role in co-managing this land along with the National Wildlife Refuge. Even today, the Spit reminds us how quickly conditions can change. Rescues still happen here, and sometimes this Spit becomes an island. Like in 2001, in December of that year, a winter storm pushed water over the Spit and broke it into 3 separate parts. So for about a month, you could not reach the lighthouse by land. This has happened several times throughout history, and eventually the sand and sift fill the gaps in again. So if you visit here, as you walk along, know that you're not just walking toward a lighthouse. This is a really active and living ecosystem that lives about 5.5 miles out in the Strait. And Vancouver Island of British Columbia is only about 12 miles to the north. And on most days, you can see it clearly.
Ain't in Kansas no matter. No, Kansas is pretty in its own way. But this is just majestic. This is the most beautiful place, hands down, I've ever lived in. Oh my God. I don't know if there's more to the beauty. This is never ending. Oh, why do I do this to myself? Because I love it. Because I love it. It's gorgeous. Oh, it's gorgeous. Oh, take it all in. Oh my God, it's beautiful. Oh, God, help me. Worn out. Lord, help me. Oh, there's someone behind me. Oh, gotta speed up. The tide is rising fast. There's a log floating in the water. It took me 2 hours to get here. It's now 2:07 from noon to 2. I've been exploring for a few minutes. It's a gorgeous day. Look, puppy.